Snubby, Rada Cronin and Chris Andrews.
Gora Maigat, Ceann Comhairle, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today on the challenges that are still posed and the challenges we are still facing from this pandemic. The announcements made by the coalition leaders on Monday regarding the new format of the reopening of our society and economy has some welcome elements, but it also has caused additional difficulties, especially for businesses and workers. I'll focus on a small number of areas if I can. Firstly, I want to say the guidance given with regard to the return to workplaces constitutes what can only be described as mixed messaging, and that is genuinely me being kind. The announcement that a full return to workplaces may not be possible until next spring will mean little to workers who have already returned to full on-site working since September. Many of them can work from home, should be working from home, and have been requested by their bosses to go into the workplace when they see no need for it. Whilst the public health advice is still for people to work from home where possible, the reality for many workers is that they have been summoned back. They want to continue to work from home. Without explicit guidance or a legal right to request remote or home working, the decision on return to on-site working is solely in the hands of employers and managers. There's a power imbalance in these situations, and as a result, a lot of workers are back in what are effectively full workplaces, even though many can and should be working from home or working remotely. It's not good enough for the government to say a full return to offices will not be possible until spring without ensuring that workers can continue to work remotely. In the absence of a legal right to request remote working, the government must give a detailed and written outline of what is expected of workers and employers over the coming months regarding the return to workplaces and remote working. I hope that that will be forthcoming immediately. I would also ask the Minister to enlighten us as to why bar counters are still off limits. Donald O'Keefe from the LVA and Padraig Cribben from the Vintners Federation have queried this in recent days. The measure doesn't seem to make any sense to the public or to those in the pub trade, and I hope there's scope for this measure to be revisited just in the interests of common sense. And I've said this many times. My own belief and my own experience is when the guidance is clear, when it is easy to understand and when it is logical, people will follow it. And where it isn't, that creates a doubt and that causes problems not just for the patrons in these premises, but actually for the workers in the premises instead as well. Is it the intention of the Government, in conjunction with Fáilte Ireland, to restate the guidelines that weddings in hotels and guest houses have to be finished by 11:30? In the past number of days, many couples have contacted me seeking specific information on this because they've been informed by their wedding venues that the Fáilte Ireland guidance states that the weddings have to finish at 11:30, and there's some talk in the media about it being different. And again, look, people want to be able to celebrate, they want to follow the rules, but the rules do need to be clear, Minister. Throughout the announcement on Monday, when the Taoiseach Micheál Martin, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar and Minister Eamon Ryan were at their respective podiums, they referenced repeatedly personal responsibility. And the reason I mention this is because it is the public who have displayed the sort of personal responsibility that some, even in this House, have been lacking. They are displaying personal responsibility every day. They've chosen to be vaccinated in huge numbers. They wear their masks. They wash their hands. They've done everything that was asked of them. And yet, when a camera is put in front of the Taoiseach or the Taoiseach, they fire back that the public needs to do more. Well, maybe this government and the people in it should have done more. Maybe the Taoiseach couldn't have voted through a recruitment moratorium in the health service the last time he was in government. Perhaps he could have been more careful when establishing the HSE, or maybe the Taoiseach could have sanctioned the building of more hospital beds. Maybe he could have tackled the recruitment crisis in our health service when he was Minister for Health, or indeed when he was Taoiseach. The list indeed does go on. In the few minutes remaining, I want to raise with you, Minister, the case of Nadeem Hussain, a man who was on hunger strike in a direct provision centre. This young man is scheduled to be deported, and I'm not going to get into the rights and wrongs of this case, but only to say to you that in the midst of a global pandemic, when our case numbers, while worrying compared with other countries, are low, it is unconscionable that somebody would be deported in these circumstances. And I would ask you to please raise this case with the Minister for Justice and to consider the plight of this man on day 8 of his hunger strike. As I said to you, I don't want to get into the specifics of the case, but I would ask you to please take a look at that. Ceann Comhairle, I'll finish on this. Working together on solving something requires a high level of humility, a high level of self-awareness, I would implore the three leaders of this government to be mindful of this.
Thank you.